Joining us now to react from the Center for Immigration Studies, Todd Benson, along with Sentinel Action Fund President and former Assistant OMB Director, Jessica Anderson. Great to see both of you. Todd, Joe Biden, by using the word illegal, it's an admission that he is not enforcing the laws of this nation. But it raises the question, who is in charge at the White House that he can't get even his own language straight?
Well, I think the president just defaulted to the way he probably talks in private when he's among subordinates. But listen, you know, to watch people pretzel twist their way around the terminology here is really just silly. The whole thing is silly. They are illegal. They did cross illegally, a huge number of them. And frankly, using these alternative terms like undocumented strikes me as a higher pejorative than illegal, because then you start to get into things like, oh, he's a non-payer, he's an unticketed person, he's a, you know, these are pejorative. Just as undocumented is, to me, is just as pejorative as anything else. And the more you pretzel twist around it, the worse it gets, in my opinion.
You know, Jessica, again, the flip-flop and the walk back was offensive, I think, for many Americans. But in that statement, he said a couple of other things as well. He didn't want to disrespect the murderer who bashed in the skull of Laken Riley. What? You don't want to disrespect him? He also said that these immigrants built our country. No, they didn't. We had a great, wonderful country that many legal people built, not these illegals who are now coming into the country. Again, another lie. But I think the most telling was when he said, I want to have an orderly flow of migration. It's not, I'm going to secure the border. I want to stop what's happening at the border. I want a more orderly flow, which is really saying, I don't want the American people to see this, but I still want all these people to come into the country.
Yeah, thanks, John, for having me. Look, I think the President Biden was very clear about his priorities. His priorities are illegal immigrants coming to the United States and setting up our American cities as magnets for these illegals to live, to have health care, to potentially vote, and to be involved in civil society. He has not made clear he wants to secure the border. He also has not made clear that he wants to come around and alongside with empathy and support Laken Riley's family. He could barely say her name at the State of the Union, backtracks it. Has he even reached out to these parents? Has he even tried to console them for the loss of their daughter? I mean, this is truly, I think, a perfect testament to everything that is wrong and broken with the progressive left. And unfortunately, President Biden takes his orders from the farthest left part of his party, as opposed to the reasonable, more moderate side of Democrats that we used to use 10 years ago. So I'm with Todd. I think this whole thing is silly, but I do think it is very revealing as to the president's priorities, and they are not to secure the border, and that is out of step with the majority of Americans.
Well, it reveals the fascist control of language. This fixation on words, because again, it's control, it changes the meaning of words, and the ultimate goal is to just control thought. And President Trump did meet with Laken Riley's family. Meantime, President Biden—
As he should.
Yes, exactly. President Biden may not want to admit that wide open border is a massive security threat, but his FBI director sure as hell did today.
We are seeing a wide array of very dangerous threats that emanate from the border, and that includes everything from the drug trafficking. The FBI alone seized enough fentanyl in the last 2 years to kill 270 million people. That's just on the fentanyl side. An awful lot of the violent crime in the United States is at the hands of gangs who are themselves involved in the distribution of that fentanyl.
Todd, also, there's a particular network where some of the overseas facilitators of the smuggling network have ties to ISIS, the terrorist organization. We have no idea what has happened to our national security because of the open border and the 10 million illegals who are here.
It's the ultimate stranger danger when you have a wide open border with millions and millions of unknown people coming in. huge numbers of them, by the way, just throw their IDs on the ground just before they cross their final act of before they enter the U.S. We don't know who the vast majority of them are. They could say, my name is Mickey Mouse, and they're from all over the world. 45% of everybody hitting that border is from a country other than Mexico or Central America. They're from 170 other countries, including every nation in the Middle East, all the Stan nations in Eurasia, Muslim majority nations, and we've had 340 who turned out to be on the terrorism watch list. And that's against a backdrop of 2 million who just got away right through, and we never got anybody. We never caught anybody. They're called gotaways. So really, this is all the national security aspect of this. I'm glad that Ray came out and talked about this. He's talked about this before. There is a Homeland Security threat assessment for 2024 that has this in it too, written by the intelligence community, that we are definitely at risk, higher risk.
Jessica, real quick, we got to go in like 15 seconds. Final word to you.
Well, I would just say that there is a direct line between a broken, open problem and crisis at the border and America's crime crisis in our cities. These two things are interlocked. I'd love to see Christopher Wray and Mayorkas actually talk to each other. Start sending intelligence reports. Like, we know how to stop this. It starts with securing the border, and then it comes with our mayors and our prosecutors in our city actually protecting us and closing that spigot for illegal crime in our major cities across the country.
No doubt. Todd, Jessica, thanks for being with us. We appreciate it.